Okay, so what you just saw and what you are currently seeing in black and white was my Generation 2 Pokemon Card Pokédex, where basically I took every single Pokemon from Generation 2. I believe number-wise it is Pokemon 152 to Pokemon 251. Correct me if I said that incorrectly. And this little wrap-up part at the video will not take up too much of your time, unlike the last video. Because yes, this is a sequel. If you've not seen the Generation 1 video, go check that one out. That one has more cards than this one does. So Generation 2 kind of shows a slow point. I believe that every generation past this, up until probably when we get to Gen 8, we'll have quite a few cards for every Pokemon. However, this gen's a little weird, because this gen is full of just one-off Pokemon nobody cares about. 3-stage lines that just don't get a lot of attention, or baby Pokemon that haven't been printed in years. Pichu. So I went ahead and I marked down every number I had for every single Pokemon card. So basically, as they should on screen, I'd write them down, telling how many cards I own of that Pokemon. And they range from 1 to 10 today. It's not another 33 situation like Pikachu in the last video, which is still our number 1, and probably will not change for the duration of this series. But what's interesting about this is not only do I have the amount of cards for each number that I'm going to be reading out to you from 0 to 10, but I'm also telling you the total number, including the ones from Gen 1, just so you get an idea. So, I believe let's just get right into it. So starting off, we have Pokemon with 0 cards. There are 7 of them. We have Typhlosion, Hisuian Typhlosion, Pichu, Igglybuff, Jumpluff, Tyrogue, and Elekid. And this will make a grand total of 8 cards over the total series that have 0 Pokemon. And I know what you're thinking. 8? I could have sworn there was more than 1 last episode that had 0 cards. You'd be correct. So in a video coming up, I believe it would have to be probably January. I do a kind of PSA style video, and in that video, I describe why those other Pokemon now have 1 card. Basically, I bought them and I showed them off. Just stay tuned for the next few months, alright? But now, there's only 1 Pokemon from Gen 1 that I do not own a card of, plus the 7 here, makes a total of 8. So now, how about we get into the ones that I have 1 of? There is 16 of them, making a total of 28 from Gen 1 and 2. So from this generation, the cards I have 1 of include Meganium, Feraligatr, Furret, Blossom, Politoed, Sunkern, Slowking, Galarian Slowking, Fortress, Hisuian Sneasel, Galarian Corsola, Houndoom, Smoochum, Magby, Raikou, and Suicune. So yeah, interesting selection. This is a lot more variety than we had in the Gen 1 video. Not only in just the sheer amount of Pokemon, because before we had like 30s and 40s, and now we have like 10 to 20s for all of them. But also, all these Pokemon stand out in my mind because there's only 100 of them. Compared to, if you said name every 151 Pokemon, it would take me longer, like with Silhouettes or something, than doing Gen 2, just because of how, how much smaller it is. That's what I'm trying to say. It's 51 smaller. There we go. Get the point across. So that makes a total of 28 across Gen 1 and Gen 2. Coming at cards that I own 2 of, so the ones that you see 2 cards of whenever their Pokédex number comes up, we have 14 of them. These include Bayleaf, Quilava, Ledian, Crobat, Cleffa, Skiploom, Sunflora, Paldean Wooper, Quagsire, Umbreon, Hisuian Quillfish, Smeargle, Miltank, and Ho-Oh. Across Gen 1 and Gen 2, this makes a total of 37 cards. Not a whole lot to say there. 2 to 3 seems to be our average number, and 4. So 2, 3, 4 seems to be the average number for Gen 2, I believe is the same for Gen 1, so I'm going to keep that number in mind for future generations. So now coming out with a total of 3 cards, I believe in a joint first place for our highest amount of cards. Not our highest amount of cards as in like 1 per Pokemon, but just the general size a lot of these Pokemon have. So, we have 17 Pokemon that I have 3 cards of. These include Chikorita, Totodile, Ladybop, Togepi, Xatu, Wooper, Wobbuffet, Pinnacle, Granbull, Delibird, Kingdra, Stantler, Hitmontop, Blissey, Tyranitar, Lugia, and Celebi. This makes a total of 47 so far in the series. I do believe this is probably going to be one of the higher numbers by the time I get to Gen 9. Whenever the hell that happens, maybe it'll even be Gen 10 by then. Anyways, moving on to the cards that I own 4 of. We also have 17, funny enough. They include Cyndaquil, Croconaw, Sentret, Noctowl, Togetic, Espeon, Quillfish, Scizor, Heracross, Swinub, Piloswine, Remoraid, Octillery, Mantine, Donphan, Porygon 2, and Entei. So 4 is not that small of a number, and there's 17 cards that I have 4 of. That's already a lot, and that's already a lot of money. So, total of Gen 1 to Gen 2, that equals 35 total cards. Now let's get on to 5, which is our last, even remotely big number for the video. We have 14 names here, which include Lantern, Flaffy, Ampharos, Marill, Azumarill, Aipom, Girafarig, Snubbull, Sneasel, Ursaring, Slugma, Magcargo, Corsola, and Skarmory. So, an interesting bunch of characters right there. That is how many we have 4 of. Across the entire series so far, that gives us 35. Funny enough, the same total number as 4 cards. So these two might grow at the same rate from what I'm seeing so far. Anyways, here's where we get into our bigger numbers. So not quite top 10 yet, but the ones that we have 6 of, we have 6 of. So all the Pokemon that I own 6 cards of, there's 6 of them total. I know, it's confusing. Don't worry, when we get to 7, I own 7 Pokemon that have 7 cards. It doesn't get better. So, making a total of 28 cards across Gen 1 and Gen 2. The 6 we add from Gen 2 to that list is Hoothoot, Unknown, Dunsparce, Houndour, Larvitar, and Pupitar, making a total of 28. So, for 7, as previously mentioned, we own 7 of them. Making a total of 21 across these 2 videos, we have Ariados, Chinchou, Natu, Yanma, Misdreavus, Teddiursa, and Phanpy. The interesting part about this is that all but one of these are first stage Pokemon, which is definitely going to be a theme from here on out. Now, Gen 1 could definitely get a slide on this, but I feel like for all the future generations, basic Pokemon are going to have the most cards. Because in most cases, Pokemon like Scizor or Ursaring or any evolved form like Lantern are either going to have rares, holos, EXs, Vs, GXs, all that stuff. So basically ultra rares, holos, rares, anything better than a rare, which you only get 1 in a pack. I may have less of those than, say, a Chinchou that is the common. You're going to get more of those in every pack. So chances are you own more Chinchous. I hope I'm making sense with this. But now we have our top 5, I guess. So these 5 have more than every other Pokemon, but do not come anywhere near the tops of Gen 1. And of course, the Pokemon that I own the most cards of is, well, we'll get there in a second. So we're going to start with 3 Pokemon right off the bat. The other 2 are just 1. So those would be my top 2. This would be numbers 3 through 5, making a total of 16. 8 cards. Adding to Gen 2, we have Mareep, Sudowoodo, and Gligar. Mareep, absolutely no surprise. They print a Mareep every freaking Sword and Shield set. Sudowoodo's interesting, but then I think about how many Sudowoodo cards I've seen in recent sets, and it makes complete sense. And then Gligar's an interesting one. So I've never really thought about Gligar as being this Pokemon that has so many different cards, but then I pulled them all out. I was like, yeah, I guess I do own a lot of Gligar cards. So that's interesting. Anyway, coming in a solid second place for the most Gen 2 Pokemon, or the most cards for a Gen 2 Pokemon I own, I guess I should say, is one that definitely surprised me a little bit. So, coming in at a total of 9 cards, we have Spinarak. This adds the total to 15 for Pokemon that I own 9 cards of. But Spinarak's an interesting one. This one and the one above it, I guess you could say I kind of cheated with because I counted like different versions of it. So for Spinarak, not only did I count the regular Pokemon Go version, but I counted the Ditto version. For me, those are different cards. Say what you want. So that would boost it up to 9. Otherwise, it'd just be 8, which is still a lot. So, you know what? I'll take it. Once again, Spinarak, just like Gligar, not really a Pokemon that I thought I've seen a lot of. And then I realized how many were in the Sword and Shield era, especially if you count the 2 Pokemon Go ones. Because think about it right now. There's Darkness Ablaze and Shining Fates, Pokemon Go, which would be ×2, and then Lost Origin and Silver Tempest. That is 7 right there. Plus, I believe I have 1 from Sun and Moon, 1 from X and Y. Boom. That makes 9. This very well could have been the top card. But of course, why the heck not? The only Pokemon to come in at a total of 10 cards, I own one of them. It is Murkrow. I hate Murkrow. I cannot believe I own 10 cards of this mother stinker. I'm trying to swear less in my videos, by the way. I hate Murkrow. Honest to God. Check out my top 100 least favorite Pokemon if you want to know why. But brief rundown, I think he is an ugly little guy, and I do not like him at all. But I have 10 cards of him, and I believe the reason for this is that I own a lot of older Murkrows, so from like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Diamond and Pearl. Those are the cards that nobody wants, which, I mean, I don't blame them. I wouldn't want them either, but have ended up in my collection over time, so that boosts the number up to 10, which is stupid. Now, this does not even come in the top 10 of the original video, which is interesting. And as I've already mentioned, Pikachu is still on top. And to keep this little wrap-up section short, that's a tongue twister, I'd like to just say thank you all very much for watching. I'm going to keep making these videos. They take a lot longer to make those card sections than it does to make this little wrap-up bit. I did this in literally a day, because I wrote this earlier today, and now I'm recording it. I can do this in a day. But that card section takes a long time. So if you enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, comment, all that stuff. Honestly, I'd rather you leave a comment, even if it's just like nice video, or you know what, how's your day, or if you have a question about Pokemon or something, anything. I just love reading your guys' comments. The way you know if I've read your comment is if I leave a heart. That's just how I say, you know, I've read your comment. Sometimes I'll reply, sometimes I'll like it. You know, there's all that fun stuff. But you can just, of course, like the video. You don't have to do anything. Spiel over. Remember to take care of yourselves because mental health is important. And I will see you all for my Gen 3 Pokemon Card Pokédex. Hopefully coming before the end of 2023. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves and ta-ta for now.